District Governors-elect, class of 2016-17, my brothers and sisters in Rotary, this is our time. I feel that I am perhaps the most fortunate man in all of Rotary. What an incredible opportunity I have been given to join you all to lead our Rotary Foundation during its centennial year. And what an opportunity each of you will have to lead your districts during this milestone year, when we will celebrate our foundation's century-long history of doing good in the world. And we do have so much to celebrate. There is, of course, the fact that every day we are moving even closer to eradicating polio. And we can also celebrate the success of our Rotary Peace Centers, which are sending more trained peacemakers into our troubled world every year. But most of all, we can celebrate the millions of lives that have been saved or transformed by Rotary and its foundation over the past 100 years. There is a child in Ethiopia who is alive today only because a Rotary Foundation vocational training team from Germany had taught local healthcare workers new techniques for stimulating breathing in the newborns just after birth. And there is a Mexican man named Gilberto who was paralyzed during a mugging here in the United States. He returned to Mexico, despondent, certain that he would never be able to work again, terrified that he would be forced to live his life as a beggar, perhaps. And then he found ALEM, A-L-E-M, an organization supported by the Rotary Foundation, grants that trains people with disabilities to repair wheelchairs. Now Gilberto has a skill, a job, and a hope for a brighter future. And then there are the 6 women in India who will not die from breast cancer because the disease was caught early enough. These 6 women live in the remote city outskirts of Tiruchirappalli, or in short, Trichy, in the state of Tamil Nadu in India. Like most women in this area, they have never had a screening for breast cancer. In fact, it is likely that most of them have never even have seen a doctor. And the number of deaths from breast cancer was rising at an alarming rate in that part of Tamil Nadu. Fortunately, 2 local Rotarian doctors spotted this troubling situation. And being Rotarians, they wanted to do something about it. So they talked it over. And then they realized that many of these women did not know that they could be in serious trouble. And even if they did, they didn't have the resources to go to a clinic. They couldn't leave their work to make a cumbersome journey to see a doctor. They did not have enough money to pay the rupees 1,200, that's about US $20 screening fee. And they probably didn't even know that breast cancer can kill, and that such screenings could maybe save their lives. So clearly, the 2 doctors had some obstacles to overcome. But remember, they were Rotarians, and they had the access to many resources. So first, they went to their own Rotary Club of Srirangam and told their fellow members of the problem and their proposed solution. And the club was absolutely ready to help. The best way to reduce the number of breast cancer deaths, these doctors agreed, was to bring the screening equipment to the women and provide free screenings. But they would not stop there because education was a key element of the project. They wanted to show women how to do self-examination so that they could spot any problems early themselves. And they wanted to assure the women that breast cancer is treatable and that many women recover and live their lives, especially if the cancer is detected early. Well, the club agreed that their project was a very important one and applied for a global grant, which our doctors from Tamil Nadu used to buy a bus, which cost about $15,000. They outfitted then the vehicle with all the equipment needed to perform mammograms and bought educational materials in the local language to teach women how to do self-examination. And they engaged a doctor and 2 lady health workers to go around and explain things to the women. All of this cost about $34,000. That's not really much money, relatively speaking. But its potential for saving lives is enormous. So the bus started going around the villages and would stop anywhere where a large group of women would gather. And during its first 2 years, 2,500 women received free screenings. And they also had an opportunity to talk to healthcare professionals about their other concerns. And the bus, it didn't stop with only the villages, but would also go around to the small towns as well, with equally enthusiastic response there as well. In India, by the way, a small town could have 100,000 plus people. And those 6 women whose cancer was detected, they are receiving treatment that is covered by government insurance, and their chances for survival are very good. So when we say that our Rotary Foundation is saving and transforming lives, we are not exaggerating. It is happening in communities all over our world. And it's been happening now for 100 years. One reason for our foundation's success is, I suppose, that we set ambitious but reasonable goals every year. Rotary International also sets goals, which has caused some confusion in the past because these goals haven't always completely been in sync, if I may put it that way. So this year, President-elect John and I worked to establish priorities for all of Rotary. Some of the goals underneath each priority relate specifically to our foundation, which is what I want to touch on briefly now. The first goal that is shared with all of Rotary is to end polio, now and forever. And we are making great progress, and you will hear more about that later during this assembly. Yes, we are now not just this close, but closer still to finishing the task. Our next 2 goals are very closely connected. One is to strengthen Rotarians' knowledge, engagement, and the financial support of the Rotary Foundation. And the other calls for increasing the quality and impact of Rotary's humanitarian service efforts through our foundation's grants in our 6 areas of focus. Why are these goals so closely connected? Well, we have found over the years that when Rotarians know about the good work our foundation does, they are more likely to get involved with humanitarian grants and projects. And they are also more likely to contribute to the foundation as well. A little over 10 years ago, we began to ask every Rotarian to give to the foundation's annual fund every year. We set a per capita goal of $100, which frankly is not an unreasonable expectation, you'll agree. And because we know that many Rotarians give much more than $100 a year, we also know that too many of our members give nothing at all. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that very disturbing. It seems to me that our foundation should be the charity of our choice for all our members. One reason that many Rotarians are not contributing is because they don't even know that Rotary has a foundation, let alone it's been doing good in the world for 100 years. And these are all members in good standing, mind you. They attend club meetings and pay their club dues and participate in club projects. But they don't know about our Rotary Foundation. So it's up to us to change that unfortunate reality, right? Let's educate these members so that by the time we meet to celebrate the foundation's centennial at the 2017 convention in Atlanta, every Rotarian in every club knows about the Rotary Foundation and its good work. And let's not stop with just our membership. Let's tell the Rotary Foundation story to the whole world. Which brings me this afternoon to our final goal. And that is to raise a public awareness of the foundation's achievements and a 100-year record of doing good in the world. We should be telling everyone about the 350,000 children who will not be stricken with polio this year, or next, or indeed ever again. Because 31 years ago, Rotary began working towards a polio-free world. We can also talk about those thousands of people in Africa who no longer live with the threat of guinea worm or other devastating waterborne diseases because of the foundation-sponsored water projects. Or again, how in South Africa, local and American Rotarians are partnering giant international corporate houses to keep the scourge of AIDS in check, as Marion Bunch is doing. And don't forget about all the girls who have a chance today for more complete education, because our foundation projects are providing schools with sanitation facilities that offer essential privacy. This is the kind of initiative that can change the world. There are thousands of such stories in the foundation's history, and hundreds of them are happening right now all over the world. It is up to us to make sure that those stories reach a much wider audience. Because when we tell these inspirational tales, others will want to join our clubs or support our foundation or volunteer their time or donate goods to our project. Another part of our story is how far the Rotary Foundation has come over this past century. From the initial contribution of $26.50 in 1917 from Arch Klump to our foundation, it has become today a leading humanitarian organization with $1 billion in assets. We have spent over $3 billion on programs and projects in our 100-year history. So how did all that happen? It happened because visionary Rotarians understood the great potential of our foundation and worked to raise more and more money every year. For the 2016-17, we have set a goal of $150 million for our annual fund, with a target of $300 million in total giving for the whole year. Total giving includes contributions to the endowment fund, the Rotary Peace Centers, and Polio Plus, in addition to the annual fund. Now, I'll agree that these are ambitious goals, but they are not impossible. To succeed, we may have to look beyond our usual ways of raising money and seek support from those who have never given to the Rotary Foundation ever. And that is why we need to raise awareness, both amongst our members and within our communities. Every year, the foundation tallies up the top giving countries in terms of dollars contributed, and also in per capita giving. Not that long ago, I would never have dreamt that my homeland of India would make it into the top 10. And yet for several years now, we have been on that list. And I'm proud to say that last year, India ranked number 4. And it's looking further up this year. Now, how did India go from being strictly a receiving country to one of the leading donor countries? Well, it helps that India as a country has been moving up economically. And it also helps that Indian Rotarians have seen firsthand all the wonderful work that our foundation has done locally. But as important has been the leadership in our districts, who have worked to encourage more contributions, both large and small. Javier Mayer, the current world record holder in high jump from Cuba. In fact, he's been holding this record for the last 29 years. No one can equal him. Was once asked, how did he manage to jump so high, much higher than his own height? He just thought about it for 3 seconds and said, well, I tell myself I want to jump this high, and my body just seems to follow. And that's what I'm asking each one of you to do next year. Challenge yourself and your clubs to increase your district's giving over last year and move your country onto the list of top givers. Please believe me when I say that if you don't ask, you may never get. How and when and where, well, that's for you to decide. My brothers and sisters, now is our time to provide the leadership that will put our foundation front and center for our members and for the world. Now is our time to enable our foundation to serve humanity for centuries to come by making sure that it is financially strong and recognized internationally for its good work. Now is the time to show the world that if we set our hearts and minds to achieving an objective, we will unfailingly reach that goal. District Governors-elect, class of 2016-17, now is our time to be the leaders who will proudly bring Rotary, our Rotary Foundation, into its second century of doing good in the world. Good luck. God bless you all. Thank you.